Yes, you've seen the statement on the arrest and the sentencing of 3 journalists in Vietnam. It is a very negative development, and we would call upon the Vietnamese authorities to free all the people who have been arrested for voicing their opinions. On measures and future steps, we have a form of dialogue with Vietnam, and we will be trying to find a solution to this problem within the context of that dialogue. That is our preferred option. Sanctions are just an instrument. They're not an objective in themselves. If it is necessary, and if the member states agree, we can resort to sanctions. And that is why we have the global sanctions system to combat violations of human rights. That's why we have it there. For sanctions to be proposed, that could be something which is done at the behest of the member states or at the behest of the High Representative. But as I've already tried to say to Christian, the process, the procedure has to be preceded by a detailed analysis, and that's what we're in the process of doing now. We have to be able to discuss things with member states to see if there is unanimity for sanctions, because it's one thing to make a proposal, but there's not much point making that proposal if you know that it's not going to stand a chance of being unanimously adopted. So we have to have these discussions. The whole sanctions procedure needs to be dealt with confidentially, who would be covered by the sanctions, etc. So first of all, we have to do the analytical work, see what the state is between the different member states, and then find the best way forward to try and solve all these problems with all our partners. It's not just China and Vietnam. We are going to be analysing the situation, discussing with member states to try and find the best possible solution. Because as I said, the use of sanctions, well, that's an instrument, but not an objective. Thank you, Peter. Miriam, do you have anything to add? Thank you. Just to say that the free trade agreement is linked to the political agreement, which has a human rights dimension to it, which is a key part of the commercial agreement. If there's serious and systematic breaches of human rights, then, in the case of Vietnam, as with other countries, it is possible for us to suspend trade preferences. But this is a last resort mechanism, as Peter has also tried to explain on human rights. First of all, we try to find other ways around the problems in discussions with the Vietnamese authorities. But there's always a possibility of the commercial agreement being suspended. Follow up, Philippe? Just quickly to Peter. Could you also say, as you did for China, vis-à-vis Vietnam, that the next opportunity to have proper discussions in detail would be the next Foreign Affairs Council, which I think is on the 25th of January? Yes, of course. If there's an agreement between the member states that this is something that should be discussed at the high level, then it is something that can be done. That would be in the January FAC. But as I say, there are already discussions going on across the European Union at different levels, starting with our delegation on the ground and the embassies of the member states. There are then discussions in Brussels, in the Political and Security Council. So there's a lot going on. If the member states agree that this specific issue with regard to this specific country needs to be discussed in the FAC, then it won't be difficult to have it included on the agenda. Thank you. So